You might not be locked behind concrete walls, but if you're gripping money, routine, and comfort so tightly that the thought of change scares you, then you're every bit as trapped as Leo and Vincent at the beginning of A Way Out. Their prison has bars, guards, yard time, and steel doors. Yours has direct debits, performance reviews, sleepless nights over bills, and that constant whisper of better be safe. Both look like security from the outside. Both slowly drain the life out of you. Inside that grey 1970s penitentiary, almost everything is provided. Food arrives on schedule. Clothes are issued. A bed waits every night. Medical care is guaranteed. If security simply means being taken care of, then a lifer serving 35 years might be the most secure person on earth. But what does that kind of security cost? It costs expression. It costs growth. It costs the freedom to fail forward. It costs the chance to become someone new. It trades the adventure of your life for the comfort of certainty. And that is the real prison this video is about. A Way Out isn't just a story about escaping a building. It's about two deeply flawed men who risk everything, their bodies, their relationships, and their sense of certainty for something greater than safety. In this video, we will explore 5 lessons from Leo and Vincent's journey that can help you escape your own invisible cell. Mistrust, over-control, fear of risk, desperation without direction, and finally, the most seductive prison of all, money attachment disguised as security. And before we break out, make sure to like this video and subscribe to be an inspired gamer. If you enjoy learning real-life, practical self-help lessons through the stories of awesome games. Lesson 1. Brotherhood as the first break. Trusting someone more than you fear. Vincent enters prison the way the system intends. Alone, silent, reduced to a body in line. His clothes are stripped away. Cold water blasts over him. A number replaces his name. Moments later, he's marched to a cell and locked in beside Leo, a man already 6 months deep into an 18-year sentence. Leo has survived by trusting no one. His tough exterior isn't arrogance. It's armor, built from abandonment, violence, and a lifetime of betrayal. Prison offers a warped version of security. Scheduled meals, rigid routines, and enforced order. Nothing is uncertain except your humanity. Everything changes in the yard. A thug sent by Harley moves in to kill Leo. The smart move, the safe move for Vincent is to stay out of it, blend into the crowd, protect himself. Instead, Vincent was thrown into the fight. He risked a beating, solitary, and worse, for a man he barely knows. That single fight cracks the walls between them. Brotherhood doesn't begin with trust, it begins with action. Later, in the infirmary, Leo spots a screwdriver through a window. Asking for help goes against every instinct he has. But desperation pushes him past fear. Vincent could easily say no, could choose self-preservation again. Instead, he distracts the nurse and the guard, creating the opening Leo needs. On the basketball court, when Vincent drops Harvey's name, Leo snaps, grabbing him, ready to tear him apart. But rage gives way to recognition. They share the same enemy, the same wound.
But Harvey killed someone very close to me. With or without you, I'm going after him. But I'm pretty damn sure our chances would be a lot better if we worked together. And you know that.
From stolen tools to tunnels carved in the dark, every step of their escape rests on that fragile, growing trust. Their first real escape isn't through concrete, but out of emotional solitary confinement. Real security isn't built by walling yourself off from the world. It's built by knowing there are people who will stand beside you when everything falls apart. Many of us wear the mask of "I don't need anyone." It looks like independence, but underneath it is often fear. Fear of betrayal, disappointment, or being hurt again. Emotional isolation feels safer than vulnerability, but over time it becomes its own kind of life sentence. Leo and Vincent only make progress when they risk trust. Vincent risks his own safety, stepping into a fight that isn't his. Leo risks his pride by letting Vincent into the escape plan. That decision doesn't guarantee safety, but it creates momentum. What was impossible alone becomes achievable together. In real life, your way out of stuck patterns almost always involves allies, mentors who see further than you, friends who hold you steady, partners who challenge and support you when doubt takes over. If you've been hurt before, your mind will argue that distance equals safety, but that's like choosing to stay in prison because at least you know the routine. Real security isn't the absence of emotional risk. It's having relationships strong enough to move with you through uncertainty. Saying, "I can't do this alone," isn't weakness, it's strategic courage. The first crack in your inner walls appears when you choose connection over self-protection. Trust someone just a little more than you trust your fear, and you'll discover exits you never knew existed. Lesson 2. Creativity as the key. Improvising your way out of safe death. Once Leo decides he wants out, he doesn't waste energy waging at the walls. He studies them. In the infirmary, his eyes catch something everyone else ignores. A screwdriver sitting behind glass, treated like background clutter. To Leo, it isn't scenery, it's a lifeline. He pulls Vincent into the plan, turning a sterile hospital room into a quiet act of rebellion. While Vincent keeps the nurse and guard busy with casual questions, Leo slips away, snatches the tool, and hides it before anyone realizes what just happened. Up on the prison roof, Leo bribes Fred with cigarettes, buying them access to tar duty. From there, everything becomes performance. They bluff guards, mimic workers, and use the hidden chisel to break into a maintenance area no one expects them to touch. When night falls, the escape unfolds as a sequence of improvised decisions. Toilets unscrewed into secret passageways, bodies squeezing through service tunnels. Busting door open, timed with thunder to swallow the sound, and using bed sheets they stolen as rope to climb down the shaft, avoiding the searchlights in the darkness of the night. Once they are outside, creativity doesn't stop, it accelerates. At the farmhouse, they adapt, sneaking into the barn and freeing the horses to get the old couple chasing after them, stealing clothes, fixing an old wheel, and smoking off into another desperate chase. When the truck crashes, they don't freeze. They drag a battered rowboat into a seemingly serene river before plunging into violent rapids, steering on instinct and shouted commands. From prison to forest, survival isn't relying on strength or certainty. It's imagination in motion.
Back in the prison, when we climbed that shaft, you know the back-to-back thing?
Yeah? What about it?
Did you really do that when you were a kid?
No.
What?
I saw it in a comic book once, when I was a kid.
Tell me you're joking.
No. I'm just glad it worked.
Oh my God. I can't fucking believe you talked me into it.
Me neither.
Security tells you to wait. Wait until the numbers are right. Wait until the path is clear. Wait until nothing can go wrong. Creativity says something very different. Use what you have. Start where you are. Figure it out as you move. Leo and Vincent never have a perfect plan. What they have is resourcefulness and the courage to improvise. A hospital room becomes an opening. A childhood back-to-back game becomes the only way up. A battered rowboat becomes a lifeline. They don't waste energy complaining about what they lack. They scan their environment and ask one powerful question. What can we do with this? That mindset, not money, not guarantees, is the foundation of real security. Vincent's old banking life shows what happens when creativity is buried under routine. He has stability, but no expansion. Structure without growth became another kind of cage. Only when crisis strips away his comfort, forcing him to act alongside Leo, does that same disciplined mind turn creative. The routines that once protected him were also holding him still. When you worship security, creativity suffocates. You tell yourself you can't start the project until you have more money, can't pursue the dream until you have more time, can't move until you see every step. You cling to routines and bank balances as if they alone can protect you. But what truly protects you is adaptability, not predictability. Real security is psychological. It's the quiet confidence that whatever happens, you can respond creatively. If one income disappears, you can build another. If a plan collapses, you can design a new one. The more you practice this, the less you need life to be predictable in order to feel safe. When people see someone pull off something remarkable, they often ask what Leo asked Vincent. The answer is always the same.
How the hell did you pull that off?
A lot of planning and a bit of luck.
But luck only appears when preparation meets uncertainty. Leo and Vincent studied routes, gathered tools, bribed the white people, and watched guard patterns. Then they moved when the window opened. If they had waited for total security, that same opportunity would have passed unnoticed. Lesson 3. Faith and Fear. Stepping onto the high ledge. Leo is fearless with fists and guns, but height stripped that confidence away. When he and Vincent climb back to back up a vertical shaft, edge along narrow ledges, or balance on platforms hanging over nothing, a different Leo emerges. The bravado cracks, jokes spill out, not from humor, but from panic. His body language tells the truth his words try to hide. He's terrified. Vincent sees it immediately. Where Leo reacts, Vincent steadies. Where Leo freezes, Vincent becomes the voice that pulls him forward. Calm, deliberate, unshaken. Step by step, he talks Leo through the fear, urging him to move, reminding him that momentum matters more than comfort. Again and again, they face ledge moments where the next move is dangerous and the outcome unknowable. The fear doesn't disappear, but neither do they.
Come on, Leo. Just keep moving. You're not afraid of heights.
That same pattern follows them beyond the prison walls, rowing on a raging river with nothing but a flimsy wooden boat. Logic screams that they are about to die. Still, they jump off before the waterfall. Jumping off from a small plane toward Harvey's heavily guarded compound is another leap when faith outweighs safety. One quiet moment captures it all. The broken down vehicle actually starts. Leo is stunned. Vincent isn't.
It actually worked, this piece of junk.
Yeah, I told you so.
You did, but still, I was in doubt.
Sometimes you just gotta have a little faith in things, Leo.
Faith, huh?
Yeah. Well, let's get out of here.
Faith, Vincent reminds Leo, isn't certainty. Sometimes you just have to move before you feel secure. Faith isn't the absence of fear. It's movement in the presence of it. The known feels secure because you've survived it before, even when it's miserable. But if your familiar reality is built on scarcity, anxiety, and playing small, then clinging to it is just clinging to your own prison. Any step toward a bigger life will feel like Leo facing heights, dizzying, uncomfortable, and scary. Waiting until fear disappears isn't wisdom, it's avoidance, and it can last a lifetime. Faith doesn't mean recklessness. It doesn't mean ignoring risk or abandoning preparation. It means holding a clear intention while accepting that action must come before proof. In money terms, that might look like investing in your skills or business while your fear tells you to hoard every dollar. In relationships, it might mean having a hard conversation rather than hiding behind silence and distance. If you define security as never feeling afraid, you shrink your life to match that rule. But if you define security as being able to feel fear and still move, growth becomes possible. Leo never stops fearing heights, but with Vincent beside him, he climbs and jumps anyway. In the same way, you may never eliminate your fear of risk, failure, or loss. You don't need to. You only need enough faith to take the next step. The moment you stop demanding absolute certainty before acting, fear loses its grip. In its place, a deeper form of security emerges. The quiet confidence that you can survive discomfort and that uncertainty isn't a warning sign. It's proof you're stepping beyond the limits of your past. Lesson 4. Desperation as fuel, where no way out becomes your way out. Desperation isn't a side effect of Leo and Vincent's journey. It's the engine driving it. Leo isn't just frustrated with prison. He's burning to see Linda and Alex again, to confront Harvey, to rip his life back from a system that has already decided who he is. Abandoned by his parents and raised in an orphanage, crime became his way to survive. Prison feels like the final seal on a lifetime of narrowing choices.
This is the life we chose, Leo. Let's just deal with it.
For Leo, staying put isn't safety, it's slow death. Vincent carries a different fire. His brother Gary is dead. His marriage is cracking. Harvey's betrayal didn't just ruin a case, it tore his family apart. At night in the prison, Leo paces his cell, slamming on the wall to talk escape. Something inside him has snapped. Quietly serving time is no longer an option. Once they are outside, that urgency only sharpens. They interrogate Wei over a construction site ledge with creative gadgets until he gives up Harvey's location. They sprint through hospital corridors, thwarting obstacles to escape the cops and crashing through windows. Because the thought of going back to a cell is unbearable, they parachute down and assault Harvey's compound like the Delta Force soldiers, not stopping until they confront Harvey. Harvey's forced surrender forced Leo and Vincent to end his greedy life by emptying their M16s until his body is full of bullet holes before falling off the balcony, turning his swimming pool into red. Desperation pushes them to the edge, but without that war, fight or die energy, they would never have moved at all.
There's the bridge. No turning back now.
Of course not.
Desperation is the moment when pretending ends. It's the instant you can no longer whisper, "It's fine," while your soul screams in quiet agony. People fear desperation because they mistake it for chaos, for losing control. But when harnessed wisely, it becomes the force that finally shatters your attachment to a dead situation and opens the door to transformation. Comfort is the true prison. If your job is tolerable, your finances manageable, and your life predictably dull, it's easy to drift for years in a haze of good enough.
Looks like you're having a bad day.
If you worked here for 10 years, you'd know every day is a bad day.
I hear.
You are uncomfortable, but not uncomfortable enough to risk change. The promise of security, steady paychecks, familiar routines, predictable misery chains you, quietly stealing your growth.
Who wants to sleep outside on the cold, hard ground when you got a perfectly good bed at home?
And yet, the soft bed might be what's holding you back. Healthy desperation is facing the unflinching truth. I cannot keep living like this. Instead of numbing yourself, you act. In your own life, desperation may arrive around money, health, purpose, or time. You can allow it to crush you, or you can channel it into focus. That may mean reorganizing finances, building skills, seeking support, or finally committing to long-delayed projects. Desperation without direction destroys. Desperation with a target ignites. The illusion of security whispers, "Stay put, it's safer here." Desperation shouts, "Staying here is deadlier than moving forward." When that hits, you trade false safety for genuine progress. Security no longer means stagnation. It becomes a declaration. I refuse to remain imprisoned by what slowly kills me. Lesson 5. Redefining security, from symbols to worthiness. The black Olaf diamond sits at the heart of a way out like a glittering curse. Leo and Harvey steal it, believing it's the escape hatch, the one score that will finally buy safety, freedom, a better life. Instead, the deal collapses in an instant. Harvey shoots the undercover buyer, Gary, Vincent's brother, and disappears with the diamond, leaving Leo unconscious, framed, and dragged into prison. One symbol of wealth detonates everything. A family shattered, a brother dead, and years of life erased behind bars. Harvey built his version of security around that stone. Armed guards, heavy weapons, lavish isolation. He believes possession equals protection, that as long as he holds the diamond and the power surrounding it, he's untouchable. Leo clings to the same illusion for most of the journey, convinced that reclaiming what was stolen and settling the score will somehow put his life back together. Vincent is chained to it too, believing that justice for Gary, that taking Harvey down will finally quiet the storm inside him. When they reach the mansion, they kill Harvey and take the black Olaf back. But the moment is hollow. The diamond doesn't bring peace. At the airfield, the truth about Vincent's undercover role shatters what little trust remains. On the rooftop, the story collapses inward. Two men bleeding, exhausted, aiming guns at each other. In the epilogues, neither man walks away with a shining symbol of security. The real treasure was never the diamond. It was a chance to begin again. Security is not in the diamond. It is not in your bank balance, your car, your house, or your title. These are all symbols, and symbols can vanish in an instant. Anchor your identity to them, and your life rests on shifting sand. The more you cling, the more fragile you feel, because deep down, you know that permanence is an illusion. Attachment to money is not strength, it is fear. You hold on because you doubt your ability to create again. You chase higher numbers, hoping the anxiety will quiet, only to find each new level brings bigger worries. The pursuit of symbolic security becomes an endless loop, a mirage that never delivers peace. True security begins with worthiness. In its original sense, the word security is about being worthy, not just wealthy. When you recognize your inherent value, money stops being proof of your existence and becomes one of the many tools for expression. Your real assets are your ideas, diamonds that cannot be taken away. Detachment is the practical side of this realization. It does not mean you stop caring about money or success. It means you stop worshipping them. You set goals, manage your resources, and prepare for uncertainty. But you no longer equate net worth with self-worth. You accept life's unpredictability and focus on what truly matters: your capacity to adapt, create, and move forward. You do not escape the prison of insecurity by stacking more symbols in the corner of your cell. You escape it by remembering that the most secure part of your life has never been what you hold. It has always been the person holding it. If a way out teaches anything, it's that the secure choice, staying put, can be far more dangerous to your soul than the risky choice of stepping into growth. Trust your brothers. Get creative with what you have. Take one step beyond your fear. Let desperation push you instead of crush you. And above all, stop chasing security in symbols. Start finding it in who you are. This week, reflect on one prison cell in your life that you have been hiding in. Then take your first improvised step into the unknown. That is where your real game begins. That is your way out. Thank you for watching.